This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day, and that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Business taxes. We're stressing about all the time and all the money you spent on your taxes.
This is my bill?
Now Business Taxes is a TurboTax small business expert who does your taxes for you and offers year-round advice at no additional cost, so you can keep more money in your business. Now this is taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on turbotax.com/business. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service.
Hello there, Scoobies. It's Kristin up here in the intro to the Puppet Show. I am recording this intro on Tuesday, March 4th. However, this episode was recorded in advance by a lot, actually. We recorded the Puppet Show back at the end of January. Why? You probably know, because in between the end of January and today, March 4th, I had a tiny baby. Her name is Sal. She is very cute. She makes lots of tiny little elephant noises all the time. And we welcomed her to the world on February 14th. She's a little Valentine's Day baby. At the hospital, I will let you know, they did call it Salentine's Day. So that's something for you to enjoy. I'm still on maternity leave, and Jenny right now is actually over on the West Coast playing some shows. In case this is the first you're hearing of it, hurry, run, look them up. Go see Jenny on the West Coast if you can. Two Jennys, actually. You've got Jenny O and Jenny Owen Youngs. Two different people, both playing great music. But in addition to coming into the intro to tell you about little Sal and to tell you that Jenny is on tour, the real reason is that since this episode was recorded back in January, we wanted to come up here into the episode in real time to say how completely saddened we all are to have lost Michelle Trachtenberg this past week. We all know what she brought to the role of Dawn Summers and to Sunnydale as a whole was powerful and hilarious and had some of the most epically little sister energy ever. As we move through the series a second time and we continue to wonder what Dawn was doing in seasons 1 through 4, please know how much we will all be holding Michelle's memory in our hearts. For those who haven't seen Sarah's words to Michelle, which she posted on Instagram last week, I'm going to share them before we move into today's episode. Sarah said, "Michelle, listen to me. Listen, I love you. I will always love you. The hardest thing in this world is to live in it. I will be brave. I will live for you."
Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadows. If I fail, if I succeed.
Thank you, Cordelia. That's going to be lovely.
Hello, and welcome back to Buffering the Vampire Slayer once more with spoilers, a podcast where we are watching and discussing each and every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer one at a time for the second time, this time with spoilers. I will be whole. I will be new. I'm Jenny Owen Youngs.
I'm Kristin Russo, and Emma was like my best friend. Today we are discussing season 1, episode 9, The Puppet Show.
The Puppet Show was written by Rob Dehotel. The jury's still out. Rob, my guy, and Dean Vitale. It was directed by Ellen Pressman, a woman.
No,
directing
be.
Television. Directing an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Welcome, Ellen.
And it originally aired on May 5th, 1997. Our spoiler-free coverage of this episode originally aired on November 16th, 2016.
Wow, so close to your 21st birthday.
A mere 6 days before I turned the tender age of 21, yeah.
This is the one, according to IMDb, where Buffy suspects that a ventriloquist's dummy may be harvesting organs from classmates performing in a talent show. That sentence is doing a lot of work. There's a lot of turns inside of that one sentence. But you know what? There's a lot of turns inside of this episode as well.
So many turns. And hey, speaking of turns, I think it's my turn to tell you, Kristin, and everyone listening, that into every generation a spoiler warning is born. We alone wield the strength and skill to discuss things from any of the following sources. All 7 seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and the canonical Dark Horse comics and Angel the TV series and any related canonical comics over there and anything that currently exists inside of the Buffyverse and anything that may be announced or released as we go.
Also, in addition to all of the spoiler warnings that Jenny has given, the show descriptions, the information you need, you must know that you should stay tuned at the end of this episode, because after we howl out, you'll hear the episode's song from our original run, and then right after that, there'll be a tiny little chat between Jenny and I about the making of that song. And I think that they're quite fun, and I don't want anyone to miss them. So stay tuned. For now, Jenny, we have a public document. Anybody can add to it. Who knows if that'll stay safe and wonderful forever. But right now, it's a party in there, bufferingcast.com/now and then. It's for folks who are listening to the original run of Buffering the Vampire Slayer and want us to know what the hell we were up to back in so we're still in 2016, actually. We're still in 2016 in the original run. Jenny, first of all, you shared back in November 2016 that your band in high school dressed up as the Smashing Pumpkins for a talent show, and you were Darcy.
Yep.
Fun fact. I love that. Darcy was my favorite.
I want to be really specific. It was the lip sync contest, not the talent show. I may have misspoken, but we had both a talent show and a lip sync contest. Really, that's your domain, Kristin.
And maybe you did, because the sort of like note that goes with that one is that I reveal my expertise in the area of lip syncing. So perhaps you did clarify that, and one of us felt the need to do what just happened, which is to say that I, in a former life, was a professional lip syncer. Thank you very much. But Darcy didn't do a ton of singing. So were you bass?
I was just playing bass, wearing shiny silver pleather pants, and I also had silver lipstick, which I used to cover my entire face. I had a entirely silver face.
That is the most fucking Jenny Owen Young's high school shit I have ever heard of. I can see it. I can imagine it. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kristin. I've been in the process of overhauling my home studio and office, which has been quite a project because I have accumulated a lot of artifacts in addition to a lot of gear over the years. And I had a full 30 box of CDs full of just photographs.
Oh, wow.
From 2004 to 2009 of the Jenny Owen Young's musical situation. So I have been dutifully transferring them from CD to hard drive, and I have seen just I can't stress this enough, just like an incredibly shocking number of photographs of myself in my old performance getup, a Catholic school uniform.
Wow.
I've been sending them, I sent a couple to my manager, and then I was like, these feel borderline inappropriate to send. And I'm sorry.
Real big Darla energy, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Wow, 2004 to 2009. The 5 years that you were preparing to meet me, actually.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
I did meet you before that. I did meet you in your Catholic school uniform era. Just the tail end, the very, very end of it. And then I was like, yo, you want to date me? What is up with this? Just kidding. You grew out of it on your own. Speaking of Darla, just a little sidebar here. I got a message from producer and special agent LaToya Ferguson today. A couple episodes ago, the episode Angel, which, we're taping these things in advance because, as you probably have heard by now, I'm full of a baby that is very soon to be Earthside. And so we're recording this before the episode Angel has even aired. So I'm sure that I'm going to get an outpouring of support when it airs. But right now, LaToya is the only one who's heard it. And she heard that when I said Darla was one of my top 5, and Joanna was like, what? That's crazy talk. I was like, but really, no, I think Darla might be one of my top 5. But I bobbled a little bit because when people know a lot about television, like Joanna or LaToya, for example, I'm like, maybe I'm forgetting something. I have the brain of a goldfish. I don't know. Maybe there are 5 easy other characters who I should be choosing before I get to Darla. But I still felt very strongly. And LaToya said to me today, Joanna was 100% wrong. You should defend your choice of Darla as a top 5 character. She is absolutely a top 5 character. And so I felt incredibly validated. And I'm going to try to learn. I told LaToya, I'm going to try to do better at having the personality of a podcaster where I say what I mean and I mean what I say and I don't take it back no matter what. It's my opinion. God damn it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's hard to it's easy to feel intimidated by Joanna Robinson.
Yeah.
And her television opinions.
It is. But either one of those two people. Like if LaToya is like, Kristin, come on. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just going on my feelings here. I don't have any data. I'm just going on what I feel.
Yeah. Well, that's actually what you should be going on in terms of what you like.
Right. Turns out.
Is there anything else from our past that we need to discuss?
There is one more thing, and I really want to say it because it comes with a question. For you, Jenny, you wish for a cape, I'm sure because of the magician in this episode. And so original airing of our coverage, you wish for a cape. And you let us know that you had many years ago a Halloween cape, a magic cape, an executioner cape. And this listener says, Jenny, did your mom ever make you a cape for your adult self?
Oh, no.
Roxy on the spot.
No offense, Roxy. Roxy hasn't taken to the sewing machine in a number of years.
You do have an adult cape, though. I've seen you photographed in it.
Oh, I have an adult cloak.
Cloak. Oh, Jesus Christ. Cemetery graveyard
it's an adventurer's cloak. It's kind of Ranger Corps, it's an Aragorn-esque garment.
And is the hood what distinguishes it as a cloak from a cape?
Yeah, I think a cape is hoodless. It can have a collar, but I wonder if a cape with a collar has a specific name. I don't know.
It's a Dracula cape.
Dracula cape, right, of course. Yeah. Capus Dracularis.
That's all I got, except for obviously Jenny can juggle, and I talked about it, honestly, because I love to tell everyone that you can juggle.
Well, well, who knows if I can still juggle. I haven't tried in a while. So every once in a while I'll get excited because Aldrich has so many balls, but they're all different. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he is kind of Riley-esque. But all of the balls in his toy chest are different sizes and weights, so it's really hard to juggle with them.
Hey,
anyway,
the next time you get a box of cuties or those little clementines,
yeah,
try it out.
I just picked up some today, so maybe I'll give that a try. Okay, before we go any further into the episode, Kristin, I have to do something. I have to click a button on my computer.
Okay.
And then I have to hope that you're about to get an email. I took the liberty of doing something.
Also, just for the listeners at home, when we got on the Zoom call today, Jenny goes, so is your email, and then said my email to me. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? It's been my email for 20 fucking years. You've known me for pretty much all of those years. Are you really asking me what my email is right
Kristin,
now?
Soon you will see what it's like. Soon you will see the impact a toddler has on the adult brain.
Also, last week, Jenny said, am I allowed to spend the company's money for something that's very important for the puppet show? So I'm imagining that these two are one and the same thing. And I'm refreshing in anticipation Patient, as they
All right,
say.
and also if you don't get an email, I have something that I can just text you, and you'll be able to see what's going on here.
Okay, oh my God. You did this?
I did this.
It's
coming your way?
Is it coming your way or my way?
Your way.
Oh my God. Okay, sorry everyone. I'm doing that thing where like you have no idea what I'm oh my godding about. Jenny just sent me a snapshot, a screenshot, whatever, of a website where it says adopt an African wild dog, which we learned recently we're supposed to call what?
An African painted dog.
African painted dog, right. And this says that we have adopted an African painted dog, and the kit includes a spotlight card, which does this show us our African painted dog that Buffering
I sure hope so.
the Vampire Slayer now adopted. Oh my God, this is a big step for us.
I know.
A certificate of adoption. And my favorite part, which is why I asked if it was coming to me, a 12-inch plush little stuffed animal of this little guy.
Yeah.
He's so cute.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's tufty as heck.
oh my God. It has
Actually,
yeah.
if it doesn't come with a name, I would like for you to name this African painted dog Tufty.
Tufty, you got it. It really it has like its big ears, and then inside of its big ears are little tufts of fur. It's so cute. Wow. What an exciting time to go through Buffy the Vampire Slayer again. A time when me and my ex-wife can together adopt an African painted dog together for our business, the business expense of adopting. You know, our accountant's going to be like, so where do I classify this? What's the category? Tracking category. Wow, Jenny, thank you. What a beautiful thing you've done for us. I'll report back as soon as I get this in the mail. I'll let you know if our adopted painted dog has a name already. I'm sure there'll be some facts. I'll be sure to relay all of that on the podcast. You know, round 1 we had Patrol Cat. Round 2, look at this.
Tufty the African painted dog.
Incredible. Wow, that's so special, Jenny. Thank you. Do you have big thoughts on either this incredible act of kindness that you've done or the episode in question?
You know, I think this is probably an episode that for a lot of people exemplifies why season 1 is like a bit of a bumpy road.
Yeah.
And since this is a spoilery podcast, we can also say that the next episode, Nightmares, I feel like falls under that category. And also the episode after that, Out of Mind, Out of Sight. Like they're all kind of bumpy Monster of the Week episodes. The pack, I feel like, is very cohesive. Like the pack and Witch feel like very like tight and linear, you know?
Yeah, and I don't think you haven't read LaToya's production notes for Nightmares yet, have you?
Not yet.
Well, I'm happy to report to you that you are of the same mind of LaToya Ferguson, which always feels really good.
Huge win for Jenny Owen Youngs.
I think LaToya gave, I'm going to pull up these notes right now, because I think LaToya did give, which I kind of feel just like gutturally, some more points to Out of Sight, Out of Mind, because Angel is in that episode, and Angel is notably absent from these two, so there's a little more like a larger arc plot that's being driven in that episode. Plus you know, I've really been thinking about whatever, we're not here to talk about Out of Sight, Out of Mind, but I've just really been thinking about the timeliness of and I'm sure that in 2017 I did this as well, timeliness of a conversation about feeling not seen and disappearing. So I am kind of looking forward to getting into that when we get to that episode.
Want to know what the WB like little square ad that would probably pop up in your local listings says? The tagline is, so we see Buffy and we see Sid and we see Michigan J Frog, of course. And the tagline is, evil never toys around.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god.
Yes, and LaToya's note was, The quality of the season's episodes after Angel vary, but I will say they all kind of feel like the show's spinning its wheels until it's time for the finale of Prophecy Girl. Yes, we get the intros of Jenny Calendar and Snyder, yay and yay, as well as some character development for Cordelia. But the season arguably peaked in the case of its Monsters of the Week with The Pack, which makes the episodes post-Angel feel like going down a hill quality-wise. And then in parentheses, she says, I also wonder, though, is part of this, besides just the Monsters of the Week themselves, the lack of Angel in these episodes, specifically the lack of any movement on that relationship with Buffy.
Latoya would say it's because Angel's not here.
Angel Stan, of course. This is also an interesting episode to watch in tandem with the next episode, Nightmares. And, you know, we've watched them sort of back to back because of some scheduling stuff. And I thought it was just really funny because there's sort of Nightmares woven into the puppet show.
The performance anxiety.
Yeah, exactly. They're like sort of setting it up to knock it down in the next Monster of the Week episode. But yeah, this is a wild episode, but it's so fucking funny. Like there's so many things that are so funny still that like I'm on board. But, you know, as a viewer who's taking the show and its incredible writing and all of that very seriously, these are for sure not quite in the same bin.
I have a question about the very first thing that happens.
Yes, demon vision.
We've got what what we're supposed to feel like is POV cam,
right? With
the I will be whole, I will be new. That sounds like Sid's voice to me.
Yeah.
And then also, we see from this POV, we both see Mark the Magician, who is the demon, and also Sid. So I'm like, what is this choice exactly?
Right. And also, it's supposed to be the last of the 7 demons, right? The 7th demon. And it's not in a body yet, and it's about to go into the magician's body, right? That's what we learn in the end.
It's not in Mark's body until there-ish, like not quite there. Okay,
but like,
I thought it was like in Mark's body and like just renewing its lease.
Oh, no, I thought it was just entering Mark's body.
Okay, that would make a lot more sense for the low
right,
verticality.
Because it doesn't even make sense if it was Sid, which it's not, because it's not in Sid's body yet. So it wouldn't be low to the ground because it's in Sid, because Sid is sitting on...
And it's also looking at Sid.
Right. So I think it's right before this demon goes into Mark the Magician's body.
What I will say is that what precisely is happening with this demon and Sid, everything's left very vague. And, you know, this is a part of that. And honestly, I'm glad. I'm glad to have an episode where, like, not too, like, things aren't over-explained. I would say they're under-explained, but, like, sometimes it's nice to have too little explanation than too much.
Sure. And I think, okay, let me tell you what I think the whole arc is of the episode. Like, the whole, this is what happens. Once upon a time, there were 7 demons. They needed to get a brain and a heart every 7 years. Sid has been...
To maintain their youthful human forms, trapped in adolescent bodies.
There's actually all of the Cullens. Are there 7 Cullens? So in order to do this, they go and they get a heart and a brain every 7 years.
But what about the Noive, Kristin? They're gonna have to get the Noive from Ozcob.
I know. Seriously. The deal with Sid is that he was cursed back in the 30s or something and got put in this ventriloquist dummy's body. He is a demon hunter, which I think only happened right before he got put in the ventriloquist. Like, he was a demon hunter by trade. He knew a Slayer. They made out, at least, in the 30s. Okay, so Sid's in the dummy, and the demons come back every 7 years to get what they need. Sid has one by one killed a demon, probably every 7 years. I don't know. That takes math, and we don't do math here anymore. We do maps, so you're on your own.
That's right.
So he is left with one demon, and he just has to kill this one demon so that he can get released from the trap of this ventriloquist dummy's body. The demon goes into Mark. He thinks the demon goes into Buffy. So he's trying to off Buffy. The only thing that I really don't understand is how the dancer gets killed. It's like then Mark the Magician kills the dancer, but then at some point in the episode, Sid is saying you only have to do this one more time. So that's the hole for me.
Well, okay, so I think Sid is saying that to Morgan because maybe Morgan has helped him with previous demons. Because the girl got killed by Mark.
Right.
For her heart. Right? So I guess that Morgan and Sid
only
have
one more
been...
time means only one more demon.
Exactly, because this is the last of 7.
Got it. Okay. So see, we figured it out.
This is no notes. It's seamless.
You know what, Jenny? That might sound like a little convoluted, but I am covering a television show with you called The X-Files, and I will tell you what.
Well, that's just a different kind of storytelling, Kristin. You're asking the wrong questions over there. In fact, it's wrong to ask questions, as we have discussed.
Anyway, that's the premise of this episode. We think that Sid, the ventriloquist dummy, is the bad guy for 3/4 of the episode until we find out the truth. So, my big question, Jenny, is that you and I have been to Torrance High School, where this, the Sunnydale High School. Now, I thought we said on stage we are not in the auditorium where this show was filmed.
But it looks architecturally like I think it's been remodeled.
But I think it was the same auditorium.
But I think it could be that space. We should ask when we're in Torrance, at prom, we should pull up the episode and say, Chris.
Yes.
Property manager extraordinaire, tell us the truth. Is this here?
I have a feeling it is. I have a feeling that we've been inside of that auditorium. In fact, Jenny ran down the aisle of that auditorium in her Letterman jacket.
Let's wait for confirmation from Chris before we start spinning
Bufferingcast.com/prom, by the way. Come and join us at prom in April. Yeah. It's going to be a time. Okay. So the demon sees a few things. The shot on the dancer's crotch is too much for me.
Uncalled for.
Didn't need it. We started the episode with probably what is the most important sound clip of all. The greatest love of all and the greatest sound clip of all. Cordelia singing.
This, I feel like, sounds to me like somebody who knows how to sing but is intentionally singing poorly.
100%.
Charisma Carpenter, we hear you, we see you, we know you.
Yeah.
We love you.
Let's hear those real pipes, because for sure this is somebody who knows how to sing that's like really making an effort.
Yeah, I can't remember what her karaoke on Angel is like, but I imagine they would have probably stuck with the you're not that good at this
continuity.
But she's a different person over there, and I feel like here it's like a song about confidence being sung poorly by someone who is perhaps overconfident.
Right.
By the time she gets over to Angel, she's having major character growth, so maybe she becomes a more refined and skilled singer in the universe.
Latoya Ferguson will know the answer.
I know.
Giles, there are several moments in this episode where I feel like the level of torture that Giles is experiencing is higher than when Angelus will later torture Giles. I think he might have a more traumatic time running this talent show and dealing with Xander doing a fucking puppet voice than any other time in the show. He's so upset.
Yeah, he's super bummed. And Giles famously does not care for Xander, but in this very episode, Xander catches the broken rope holding a guillotine blade suspended above Giles's cranium.
Yeah.
Xander saves the fuck out of Giles's precious brain.
Yeah, yeah. Xander.
Giles, I think we could look back on this moment a little more often.
Mm-hmm. I agree. When it happened, I was like, well, damn. And there's quite a few moments like this where I'm like, Xander really did a lot of good shit in season 1, and I guess we'll just have to pay attention, because I don't think that's consistent with the Xander that we will eventually meet in seasons 2 and forward. I don't know. We'll find out. Hey, Snyder's here, Jenny.
I'm so happy that Snyder's here. Almost as happy as I am to see this glorious tubist representation. We're so unsung. We are a scant yet powerful siblinghood. Snyder just like dropping into the show, banger after banger after banger after banger. He doesn't have a half-baked line.
He really doesn't. Let's just hear like the first moment that we get the Snyder of Snyder.
My predecessor, Mr. Flutie, may have gone in for all that touchy-feely relating nonsense, but he was eaten. You're in my world now. And Sunnydale has touched and felt for the last time.
Oh, welcome to the show, Armin Shimmerman. We're going to give you a clip in a little bit of our interview back in 2016 with Armin Shimmerman, who was our first like real big cast member from the show interview of that run of ever. It was the first time we did it. We were both literally terrified. Like, oh, what? So we'll give you a little clip of that and we'll link it to the show notes, of course. Jenny, I will say that in addition to loving how awful Giles is feeling about Snyder assigning him this role as talent show supervisor, the comedy that is played of Buffy and Xander and Willow coming in, sitting down, making such fucking fun of him, and then immediately being told by Snyder that they have to participate in the talent show, and Giles just like full of glee in his seat is so good.
That was a quick turn. We meet Morgan and his dummy, right? And it's not long before Morgan's really bad ventriloquism is overshadowed by what we know now is Sid, the animate ventriloquist dummy, making lots of horny jokes.
Oh my God. So there's a few, I think, there's some things that Giles does in this episode that are not things that Giles would do. Probably top among them is getting into a guillotine and being in the middle of this whole scenario, just allowing for this to happen.
Whoa.
But also Giles laughing at the edible jockey shorts joke that Sid makes seems out of character for Giles.
Right?
I just can't. I can't.
I feel like I kind of feel like Buffy too. Like Buffy laughs at most of the, or at the very least is like, oh, this guy.
And it's like, it is funny in the, like, Sid negging on Morgan is like, that is funny, like, regardless of the actual content of the joke. Like, sort of the idea that this ventriloquist dummy is like, shut the fuck up, man. You don't even know how to do this properly, is like, maybe something that you can laugh at, but they cut from edible jockey shorts to Giles chuckling, and I was like, incorrect. This British man does not laugh at edible jockey shorts.
No.
Okay. R.I.P. to this dancer. We go to why is it always so dark in the locker room? Could they get some new light bulbs in there? It is fucking dark all the time.
It is a plague. It's so wrong.
Demon cam once again. So this is confusing now because yes, the demon should be in Mark's body at this point.
I mean, yeah, I'm not even sure now that we're seeing this low to the ground POV. I'm like, were we supposed to think he was in Mark's body the whole time? And like, why does he have Sid's voice? It's none of our business. It's none of our business. If we're mishearing, then I'll be embarrassed. But this is like a pet peeve of mine. Okay, in an animated film, which I have been trying to get Kristin to watch, called Puss in Boots, the titular Puss is having a dance fight.
Back. No.
The titular Puss in Boots is having a dance fight with a cat who's wearing like a mask. And that cat, they're like doing all these like moves where they're kind of like, there's a lot of like footwork, and then there's a lot of like slapping on the chest and stuff, and a lot of huh, and it's definitely a male voice that is hooing and stuff. But then the big reveal after Puss in Boots whaps this other cat over the head with a guitar, that cat takes their mask off and reveals that they are in fact Kitty Softpaws, a girl cat. With a woman's voice, specifically Salma Hayek's voice. And I just feel like, sorry, spoilers for Puss in Boots. But it really grinds my gears every time I watch
Well, you can't get too mad until you meet Salma Hayek and say, "Can I hear your best huh?" and see if
That's true. She might possess something that I don't understand. You're right.
might.
You're right.
Before the credits, we get a beautiful demon. I will be flesh, and I laugh and I laugh and I laugh. All right, we're in the auditorium. Magician's lost his rabbit. There's a juggler. Fucking Buffy, Xander, and Willow have decided that they'll do a dramatic reading because it does not require talent. A dig on actors from actors themselves.
You love it. Kristin, it's time for the annual talent show. It's time for the annual Buffering the Vampire Slayer talent show. What's your talent? What are you doing?
Well, I mean, so right now, what would I do? Or because what comes to mind is I was in a talent show. I probably already told.
No.
You want to know now, right now?
Yeah. Not what did you do 100 years ago when you were in high school?
I would probably do a lip sync. Honestly, I would say that I would choose a very popular. I would probably do a lip sync, and I would choose a song that I know that Jenny has a lot of really big feelings about, as well as a lot of the world, and do like a Charlie XCX lip sync so that I would be both relevant and funny at the same time. What would you do? You can't play music.
Podcast, live podcast.
No.
Why not?
You could juggle. Because you can't do something you do for your career. That's not fair.
Huh.
I mean, I guess I did once lip sync for my career, but.
Uh-huh.
Maybe for our talent show, we could do a number together and you could just carry me across the stage and then come back and explain that there was just one set of footprints because that was when you were
that's definitely what I'm doing. Yes.
Great. That made me think of, listen, if you've never seen Drop Dead Gorgeous, you're going to hear me talk about it a lot because it's one of my favorite films of all time, but it made me think of Denise Richards in the talent portion of the pageant, just with a full crucifix with the stuffed Jesus on wheels, leaned on her back as she sings, "You're just too good to be true." Oh, God, it's good. Anyway, something else important. Buffy is wearing a leopard mini dress this is one of the iconic Buffy outfits. The dress is so short that it is the same length as the coat, burned into my brain forever. We learned that Willow plays the piano a little bit. A fact. Put it on the board.
But not in front of people.
Sure. And we learned that Sid is simply the horniest possessed ventriloquist dummy this side of... They lean into the sort of wise guy from New Jersey, New York, smoking a cigar, looking at the ladies, kind of a vibe for Sid. That's his personality type. And that personality type goes hand in hand with, saying something like, once you go wood, nothing's as good. Unfortunately.
Oh. My God.
There's a moment towards the end of the episode that makes me uncomfortable, which is when Sid puts his wooden hand on Buffy's thigh and she laughs it off. And I wrote in my notes at that point, this was the 90s though, so this is how we were taught to respond. If a ventriloquist dummy puts his hand on your leg, just laugh it off. Just laugh it off. It's 1997, okay?
Yeah.
Things have changed.
As everyone knows, the assertion that kids are human beings is the kind of woolly-headed liberal thinking that leads to being eaten.
Oh my God.
Banger. Spontaneous cheerleader combustion, you can't put up with that. Banger. Kids, I don't like them. Banger.
Oh my God. I have a lot of questions about Snyder now that we can spoiler things because, I was asking myself as I was watching this episode, we know that Snyder at some point is going to be in cahoots with the mayor. And some moments in this episode made me feel like, well, he was from the start, because he's really zeroing in on Buffy. And like, you know, as a first time viewer, you're like, oh, he's just like zeroing in on Buffy because he like notices that she's like not really following the rules. Maybe she's not going to class, whatever. But like, when you know the background, you're like, is he zeroing in on Buffy because he knows that she's the Slayer? And this episode doesn't really, I don't think it gives us enough information, but I do wonder where in the arc of Snyder does he get really in the know with Sunnydale and all of its stuff.
Okay, locker room, girl screaming, discovered Emily. Giles, you know, whenever there's a murder at school, you want to have the librarian in there along with the emergency responders.
And one teacher who's the look on her face as she leaves is like, another one. Can't believe it. We lost another one.
No. The heart was removed. Emily's heart was removed. And everyone's like, well, it must be a human murderer because they used a knife. What?
I mean, the gentlemen take out your heart just reaching in, right? They don't use a knife. Do they, or do they use a knife?
No, they've got a little scalpel set up.
Okay, so therefore, theory unproven. Demons can use knives, tiny or large.
Buffy's the only true believer who's like, we're on Hellmouth. It's demons.
Yeah.
Willow. It could be anyone. It could be me.
Her little "it's not though" is just so great. Giles says, like, when Buffy doesn't buy that this is a demon, Giles says, I'd like to think you're right. A demon is a creature of evil, pure, and very simple. A person driven to kill is, it's more complex. This show will, for every step hereafter, say, not this at all. Of course, a person driven to kill is complex, but the whole premise of Buffy the Vampire Slayer is that demons are not black and white. They are complex. And the, doing of evil is not so easily explained. So I just wanted to point out that quote that will just be turned upside down immediately.
Demon. I feel like when a demon has a soul...
Even when a demon doesn't have a soul. Clem doesn't have a soul. Fucking Lauren
we don't see
Clem
killing anybody. We don't see Lauren killing anybody. They're just being demonic. But, I see what you're saying. There are, like, sort of civilian demons.
Yeah.
Chillers, if you will.
So, you know.
Oh, yeah. The two demons. Killer demons and chiller demons.
I don't know. Even I can't. I know a lot about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but I can't yet like just pluck references. But I'm certain that there are demons who have killed, not the Angelises and the Spikes and all these like soul or no soul vibes, but like I'm certain there's demons that kill that are more complex than just being evil. You know, like that's part of the universe. All right. They're going to question people. That's where we're beginning. Investigate your talent show compatriots, says Giles, and so they do. There's a rivalry between the dancers and the band. Interesting. Mm-hmm. And everybody's pointing to one place, and it's Morgan. Giles, to point a finger, is the one who questions the magician. So perhaps Giles could have done a better job. The magician is telling him which card to pick so that he can do his trick.
Mark has so much equipment for somebody who's so bad at magic.
Well,
he's got a disappearing box. He's got a guillotine. He's got his little cape.
I think that says exactly that, you know? It's like the more you have to prop up your show with props, perhaps the less talent you embody.
The lady doth prop test too much.
Fucking exactly, Jenny.
Mm-hmm.
Cordelia is so upset. It could have been me. Emma was my best friend. Her name was Emily.
Emma?
Really Cordelia-ing out in this episode and in every episode she's in.
Mm-hmm. All I could think was, it could have been me.
Morgan is always rubbing his head. He seems paranoid. He's always arguing with his dummy. Buffy walks into the auditorium and Sid is sitting on the stool, and Morgan is talking to him about, we think, Emily. And that there's only one more. And Morgan's like, no. I was just practicing throwing my voice when he sees Buffy.
Yeah, me too. That's what I say whenever anybody walks in on me, like, talking shit.
I was just throwing my voice, practicing. So they go back to the library, and everybody's gotten the same thing. It's Morgan, it's Morgan, it's Morgan. Willow and Xander are so excited because they're like really leaning into the Scooby gang of it all, the Slayerettes. Willow's like, we could set up a sting operation. Xander is wanting to wear a wire. They're just ready to solve crime.
Yeah, they're like, this is kind of our domain for once.
Yeah.
Buffy's like, what about my great demon theory? And Giles was like, well, I simply haven't had any time to look into it because of the talent show.
His efforts have been, quote, hampered by his life in the theater, Jenny.
Uh-huh.
All right. So Giles tells her to go check and see if something is there, and Buff in Morgan's locker or whatever, and she goes, like a heart? Like, what are we looking for, Giles?
Yeah.
Buffy goes to the locker, Morgan's locker. We get what is a Sid cam. Like, this is a Sid cam because Sid and Morgan are like watching from a closet, crouched. Buffy busts the lock into the locker, opens it up, and somebody grabs her hand. Who is it?
It's Snyder. I feel like this is a violent grab.
Yeah. Even Buffy does. The way she like pulls her hand away from him is very much like not appropriate, sir.
This is where we learn about 3 of Snyder's deal breakers. Students on campus after hours, horrible murders with hearts removed, and also smoking.
The like anti-smoking thread in all 90s shows is it's just such a thing, you know?
Yeah.
We've gone all the way back around. We're pretty pro-smoking in television now. We were really anti-smoking in television in the 90s.
I think it's just about like what's actually going on in the world. You know, smoking is way down. So it's like fine to have it in TV. But if people were smoking a ton again, we'd be like, get it off the TV. It's making everyone smoke. Joyce is like, wow, can't wait to come see you in the talent show. And Buffy's like, please don't. And then Joyce very earnestly asks if something is bothering Buffy. To which I have to ask, did the school not send like a note home to parents about the recent grisly murder and organ theft?
I don't think so. Not in this town, man.
They're like, we don't have enough paper.
Yeah, another day, another murder. What are you gonna do? You know, we'll tell you if there's not one. Like, that's when they get the notice. Incredible news. All of the students who arrived at Sunnydale High School today left Sunnydale High School today, but very rarely seen.
In the same condition in which they arrived.
I want to say, before we get to the pitter patter of it all, Buffy is sitting at her little like dresser, whatever, and she's just like putting lotion on. And I think because obviously we're watching this show with the knowledge of the full arc and like applying some of the stuff that we feel for Buffy with that, I was just so happy. I felt like so emotionally happy for her that she just had a moment to sit and like put on some hand lotion, you know, because I just feel like she's doing so much and she probably doesn't get a lot of time to just sit and like take care of herself.
It's true.
All right.
But you know what's going to throw a big wrench in all that self-care?
Or a tiny wrench.
Sid's outside the window.
Is he sitting on a tree branch? Where's Sid?
I don't know.
I really hope that his little legs are just like dangling, kicking on the side of a tree branch as he's looking in Buffy's window. It's a jump scare.
The scuttling in her room.
This is up there with like the bad eggs scuttling for me. This like pitter patter of a thing that's too small for you to see and you don't know where it is and you can't keep track of it. It is a particular kind of scary. Buffy screams. I feel like she needs to maybe work on not screaming because Joyce is in the house. Like I think like a skill that they should train for in addition to, you know, the crossbow and what have you is like not screaming out loud because scary things are going to come into her room many times, I think.
Buffy apologizes for waking Joyce and Joyce is like, this is like some really classic vintage season 1 Joyce. Don't be. I was dreaming about bills. One day, these bills will all be yours, Buffy.
Oh, God. I wondered to myself in the episode that follows this one, Nightmares, is Joyce just... she's just sitting in a pile of bills. That's her nightmare. This is what she's doing the whole episode. You shouldn't go to sleep with the window open, she says to Buffy. Buffy, I didn't. Dun, dun, dun.
Support for the show comes from OneSkin. As the seasons change, so do your skin's needs. Shifts in the weather can leave your skin feeling irritated, tight, and dry, especially if you have sensitive skin or conditions like eczema. But what if your skincare routine could help calm your skin and reverse the signs of cellular aging at the same time? Enter OneSkin. Founded by 4 PhD-level researchers, OneSkin is the only company with the OS1 peptide, the first ingredient scientifically proven to reduce the dysfunctional zombie cells that build up as you age and make you more sensitive to those seasonal symptoms. Their products are free from more than 1,500 common irritants and backed by countless lab and clinical studies. Just a few of the reasons they've earned the National Eczema Association seal of acceptance. OneSkin has been a part of my skincare routine for a while now, and for good reason. Very soon after I started using it, I saw noticeable results. My skin was brighter, smoother, softer. I'm a huge fan of their products. Founded and led by an all-woman team of skin longevity scientists, OneSkin is redefining the aging process. Get 15% off with code BUFFERING at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code BUFFERING. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them Buffering sent you. Invest in the health and longevity of your skin with OneSkin. Your future self will thank you. Support for the podcast comes from Factor. Between podcasting, songwriting, and being a parent, it never feels like there are enough hours in the day. And when you're pressed for time, one of the first things to go can be eating well. But what if I told you you could have chef-made, dietitian-approved, gourmet meals delivered directly to your door and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes? Factor meals arrive fresh and fully prepared. They are perfect for any active, busy lifestyle, and you don't have to compromise on nutrition or taste. Let me just say something. Cavatappi and Italian pork ragu with garlic, broccoli. That's right, rich, savory flavors of ragu without the lengthy, low and slow simmer session. This is just one of the delicious Factor meals I ate for lunch last week. It saved me time, it filled me up, it tasted great. Want to give it a try? Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast and use code FACTORPODCAST to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code FACTORPODCAST at factormeals.com/factorpodcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box.
There are many ways to entice a potential new customer with flashy branding and calculated marketing strategies. But at the end of the day, the success of a business comes down to the ability to close the sale. And for businesses like Thrive Cosmetics, Allbirds, or Skims, it's what goes on behind the scenes, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple that makes the difference. For them and for millions of businesses, that difference is made with Shopify. Businesses that want to grow, grow with Shopify. Because if your goal is growth, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. And Shopify will make sure you're ready. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And with Shop Pay, they boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going. It's no wonder Shopify is home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Allbirds uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/realm.
Okay. Let's bring it. Cordelia's going to get a jingle this episode, God damn it. And you know what? She's going to get a fucking jingle next episode too. So let's hear a sound clip of Cordelia and Giles, a pairing that is, I mean, simply delightful no matter which way it's going. They are in the auditorium and Cordelia does not want to follow the full band act. She feels that's not okay.
I don't understand why I have to follow Brett and his stupid band.
Because we have to clear their equipment before the finale, I've told you.
But the mood, it it'll be all wrong. My song is about dignity and human feelings and personal hygiene or something. Anyway, it's sappy. And no one is going to be feeling sappy after all that rock and roll. What?
Oh, I'm sorry. Your hair,
There's something wrong with my hair? Oh my God.
Xander was right. It worked like a charm.
Another
Love this.
continuity bit. This is Cordelia's literal nightmares that something is wrong with her hair.
Mm-hmm.
So powerful weaponry against Cordelia. And then Buffy comes in. And nobody believes Buffy. I'm so mad at this scene.
Dude.
This girl has been right for like 8 episodes. Why are we just not believing her now? Like, that's where we draw the line? It couldn't be a ventriloquist dummy? Come on. She also says that Sid pounced on her face, and I was like, footage not found. So that did not happen. But okay. And this is when we learn about the Brotherhood of the Seven Demons, which Giles thinks is the answer. Turns out there's truth to both of their answers, and we can use this to help us believe Buffy in future episodes so that we can get the right answer, you know?
Correct. I feel like, look, a Brotherhood of 7 demons who take the form of young humans and need a fresh heart and brain every 7 years, otherwise they revert back to their demon form. This to me is the demon was in Mark the whole time. And the
right.
like opening weird low to the ground POV is just like something they from an earlier draft, and they were like, let's just leave it in.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's why I forget every time. When this episode comes across my desk, I'm like, wait, so who's the bad guy? There's a twist, right? And this is why it's a little murky.
I'm like, you have to like get a heart and a brain every 7 years, and your reward is that you are a teen and have to go to high school? What's wrong with demons?
At least fucking Toombs only needed to fucking get his shit every 30 years. But then didn't he just sleep in a sticky cocoon for the whole time?
It wasn't much of an existence, Kristen.
Yeah,
in my
I think
opinion.
that people really need to evaluate the deals they make with demons overall.
Yeah.
Because you really need to consider what the win is for you. Okay. Oh my God. It's not as good as Miss French's neck turning around on her shoulders in Teacher's
But almost.
Pet. But Sid turning his head to look at Buffy menacingly is real funny.
We're in like social studies.
Yeah, we're in history, but I will say it's a different history teacher than we'll see next week, but whatever.
Exactly. Does it specifically say that it's history class?
No, but I just assume based on what they're learning, it seems like a social studies history vibe.
Well, it could be one or the other.
Oh, I've never had both.
Separate.
I had social studies or history.
Sometimes I think that there can be both. I don't know. What am I? A doctor? I'm not. Maybe the history class in the next episode is just purely nightmare stuff, and that's why there's a teacher different from this one. Anyway, you've got your ventriloquist dummy in your lap during class? Couldn't be my high school.
No,
What?
absolutely not. The teacher takes Sid away from Morgan once she feels appropriately upset about this, which I agree, Jenny. I would have felt appropriately upset about it the minute it happened. She takes Sid and puts him in a cabinet. You know it's not going to go well when you put Sid in a cabinet. That's just a recipe for horror.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Just a scene or two ago, Buffy was like, can't wait to talk to Morgan when he's, separated from his better half. Sid's in this closet for part of the school day. Why not go talk to Morgan?
Right.
You just saw his dummy get confiscated.
Right. And Xander later says, he took the dummy out of the cabinet so that Buffy could have what she asked for, which was to talk to Morgan alone. Who knows? Sid's gone when fucking Morgan comes back. Obviously, he's not in the cabinet. Sid's not gone of his own accord. Xander has taken him to torture Giles, as I mentioned previously. Now, listen. If you don't believe that the ventriloquist dummy is possessed by a demon, fine, okay? Fine. But I find it very hard to believe that even if you don't believe it, you would bang the wooden head of this dummy on a desk. That just feels like really testing shit. And I just feel like you would not rock the boat.
Trouble.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Just don't, Xander.
Okay. Willow and Giles hit the stack. Xander puts Sid on a chair where he will no doubt stay because he's inanimate.
Yeah, but Xander, revealing that he's at least a little bit worried, turns his fucking head away. And that's appropriate. So don't bang his head on the table, ding dong. Oh my God. Snyder pulling a move that is Jenny Owen Young's newest podcasting move. When we're podcasting and it's dark in the room, Jenny will now take a candle and hold it up under her chin so she becomes underlit. Snyder.
So what?
Exactly like Snyder. Underlit. Exactly as I see Jenny.
It's a classic for a reason, Kristin.
I'm not so sure how safe it is for a girl like yourself to be alone, says Snyder. Buffy, I was just leaving and I know how to take care of myself. Nice. That's where I ask, does Snyder already know? Like, what is this? What's informing this conversation?
The way that he slinks and creeps about,
yeah,
you think,
right? You
this
think
guy's
he does.
no good.
Yeah.
Okay. Back in the library, Willow says, look what I found in the section on toys and magic. On rare occasions, inanimate objects of human quality, such as dolls and mannequins, already mystically possessed of consciousness, have acted upon their desire to become human by harvesting organs.
I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself from 2016. I have no way of knowing. No way of knowing that I plan on doing. And but remember today's special, Jenny, the television children's program that we watched? Just really gives a whole new twist on what could be happening in the cut scenes from today's special. What were those mannequins?
There were like mannequins.
One mannequin, the guy was the mannequin, and he would like animate. And then there was Muffy the mouse, and there was a real lady.
Muffy the mouse.
Yeah, but like, you know, I'm just saying it was a kid's show, so they probably cut out the part that the mannequin had to harvest organs to stay alive, you know?
You should check out the season premiere of the Christopher Eccleston, Billy Piper season of Doctor Who.
Okay.
If you want some hot mannequin action.
Action. Something that I really liked in this scene, in the like, let's pay attention to some Xander stuff that maybe went unnoticed in the first viewing and or just like couldn't be properly talked about because we were spoiler free. He's doing research at the table before the reveal that Sid is, of course, gone. He gets up and he goes to look up a word in the dictionary to like help him with his research. And I just thought it was like this really incredible detail of the effort that like Xander is putting in. Like Willow is just like the brains of the operation. It's very easy for Willow to go into the stacks and find what she finds or whatever. And Xander's really like working his ass off to participate and not in just the ways of grabbing the guillotine and catching it. But like, I don't know. I felt like a little like twinge of my heart when he got up to look up a word in the dictionary.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Kristin, in addition to hitting the books, he's also been hitting the gym, as we'll see in the next episode. Xander has made some gains since the beginning of season 1. And we're going to see all of them.
Yep.
Next episode.
Honestly, the thumbnail for the next episode, I was like, go fish already? But it's not go fish. Yeah.
No, he's already begun his hunkification. I love his scream and how he like leaps like straight up into the air onto his chair.
He leaps up onto his chair, and then by the time Giles and Willow are out there, he's on the desk. And then Giles has a response that's equally amazing, just like immediately looking down like, like the elephant and a mouse kind of like vibe here of terror. It's really funny.
Terrible news.
Oh no.
Morgan's dead.
No notes going home today. Another one down.
Yeah. Morgan's brain has been removed, and then Buffy gets chandeliered.
Incredible.
Commercial
and this
break.
is Sid, because Sid thinks that Buffy is the demon, okay?
He's scurrying all over the goddamn place. She grabs him by the throat, thank God, and hucks him across the room. But,
oh my God. His tiny feet on the catwalk is my favorite thing. Pitter patter, running.
They loved this so much that they made the puppet episode of Angel.
Oh God. Wow, the joy that just immediately hit my system with to think about Puppet Angel. Okay, so Buffy has Sid up against the wall. He says, you win. Now you can take your heart and your brain and move on. Let's hear this exchange because it's really well timed and it's funny and also gives us a little information.
You lost, and now you'll never be human.
Yeah, well, neither will you.
What?
This is what I do. I hunt demons. Yeah, you wouldn't know it to look at me. Let's just say there was me, there was a really mean demon, there was a curse, and the next thing I know, I'm not me anymore. I'm sitting on some guy's knee with his hand up my shirt.
Okay, here are the reasons that Sid gives for thinking that Buffy was the demon. She's strong.
Mm-hmm.
She's athletic. Kind of feels like it falls under the strong umbrella. Limber kind of feels like it falls under the athletic umbrella. Nubile.
Yeah, he's sort of just like...
I'm thinking about all the nubile demons I know.
Oh, God. In any case, now that the demon has the heart and the brain, it's done. He gets to keep the human form he's in for 7 years.
Right. Except.
Yeah.
Except. Okay. So they're like, let's Giles go form the power circle, the pre-talent show power circle before the curtain goes up. Get everybody hyped. We'll watch from above and see who's missing because that person must be the demon. But everybody's there.
Everybody's there.
Uh-oh.
So how can we possibly tell? Also, please don't skip over the fact that Cordelia is freaking the fuck out backstage. She says, everyone will be looking at me like I'm some kind of Buffy. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't
really get that. Okay, but yes. And before they realize that nobody's missing, Sid and Buffy have another chat. This is where we learn that Sid knew a Slayer in the 30s. They had some times.
None of our business.
None of our business. Sid, sir, no thank you. He does.
It's, speaking of things that are none of our business, but I have to ask because he is such a horny dummy. Are we thinking it's just smooth as an egg down there?
If it's smooth as an egg.
He's got a Ken.
If it's smooth as an egg, can you even be horny?
Well, you could, I think, be mentally horny without getting physically horny. Or what if, because you're made of wood, you're perma-horny, and that's actually his problem.
There's
anything wrong with being horny, I guess.
Ventriloquist dummies is they always have a boner. It's just built into the description. You know what? It's not their fault that they're made of wood, okay?
So true.
I'm going to say, let's just say smooth as an egg for our own ability to process it, you know?
Smooth as an egg.
So he also explains something here, which I'm not sure that we said explicitly, which is that once he kills the seventh demon, he is freed from this dummy's body, meaning he can just die. Like he can go away. And a very reasonable thing that Sid is after, which is just not being trapped inside of this.
The sweet release from this mortal coil.
Yeah, he's done having a constant boner. You know, he's over it. He's ready to go.
It's got to be exhausting, honestly. Okay. Giles sees... Okay, this is what I wanted to talk about. Giles sees Snyder sort of walking across a doorway down the hall from Giles. And he is backlit. His ears are backlit, and they are glowing red.
His ears being backlit is my favorite thing in the entire world. His little red
That's
ears.
incredible.
Yeah.
And the way that he just is moving and stops and then keeps going. It's just so weird and creepy.
Yeah.
And this is what really for me is we're definitely supposed to be catching a vibe that this guy's up to no good.
Yeah. Or counterpoint. It's this is after they realize no one's missing from the circle. So now we're wait, it wasn't somebody from the talent show. Who is it?
Oh.
So it could just be set there for us to be oh my God, it was the fucking principal the whole time.
A red-eared herring.
Yeah. Did you say the red-eared herring?
Unfortunately, I did.
Okay. So While Giles follows Snyder, Buffy keeps looking for Sid, who is gone. When she jumps down from the catwalks, she looks up and Sid's gone. So now they're like, wait, was it Sid? Actually, was Sid lying?
There's so much back and forth. This is just like...
It's messy.
It's just too much.
It's messy.
It's just too much.
It's messy. But
what is this, Wimbledon? What is this, the U.S. Open?
Something's dripping on Buffy and she reaches up and it's just cerebral fluid. She takes a whole human brain, which, I wish brains were actually this bouncy, but I just can't believe that they are in real life,
It'd be really cool. Not that there's any practical purpose. It would just be satisfying to know.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm going to go bounce a brain.
Jenny, I want to let you know, and I want to let our listenership know that I have actually never seen the movie The Usual Suspects. I was like, Kaiser Soze. I don't know what that is. And I thought, I should admit to everyone that I have never seen this movie. And I don't know what the twist ending is. So,
You should watch it.
I know. I think I'm gonna. All right. So.
Clickety-clack. Morgan had brain cancer. R.I.P.
Yeah.
Demon still needs a good brain. And Buffy and Xander are immediately concerned for Willow. And Willow's like, what?
Xander being like, Willow, what's the square root of 841? I was like, wait, we have a jingle for this. And I'm going to tell you, because I was like, I had a moment where I was like, oh my God, Jenny's even more of a genius than I thought she was.
That's right.
But Jenny, your number is 1225 because...
Well, because I needed a rhyme for hard drive.
To rhyme it. Right. But I was still like, impressed. Like, I forgot this had an actual root, no pun intended. Let's give Willow her jingle. I can't talk about it and not give it to her.
Who knows the square root of 1225? Willow, who's gentle of heart and nimble with a hard drive. Willow, 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 Willow.
All right. This idea. So I think Buffy says, don't worry, Willow. As long as you're with us, that demon won't get what he wants. As though Willow's brain is the only smart brain in the entire high school. He has one choice and it's Willow's.
There's actually only two choices and they're both in the Scoobies.
Yeah. Imagine that an actual guillotine was allowed in the talent show, Jenny. Imagine this. And then, of course, imagine Giles actually fell for this. I mean, this would never happen, but we're on the ride. We got to take it to the end. They realize that Giles is also very smart. Oh, no. They run to the auditorium.
Oh, my God. Yeah, Mark's got Giles just, like, strapped in here and is like, this way, with this blade positioning, your scalp gets sliced off and your brains come pouring out. I just want to say
yes,
that's not what we saw from the last brain.
Right.
The last brain we saw was whole.
Yeah, he needs a whole brain. He would need to do this by hand. You can't remove a full brain with a guillotine because you need to slice around the brain, not through the brain.
Right? Giles is like, what's the trick? And Mark is like, trick?
Thank God that the way that Mark does this is by hacking through a rope slowly with an axe. Because if it was simply to untie the rope, Giles would be
long dead.
Yeah, he'd be gone.
This gives Buffy time to come in fists flying. Pow, pow, pow. We get a little bit of demon skin showing through the teen skin because this demon is, of course, trapped in an adolescent body.
It's expiring. It's like Cinderella.
Yeah. Xander catches the guillotine blade as it's falling. Buffy kicks Mark into the magician's box and he comes out swinging as a demon. Is this like a Cinderella, carriage turning into a pumpkin situation?
7 years is officially clocked.
Wow, incredible timing. Willow unlocks Giles and Sid appears with his knife. He's all stabby, stabby, stabby. Xander then lets the blade go after Demon Mark has fallen into to decapitate him. But here's a question that I have.
Okay.
After Giles got out, why was Xander still holding the blade up?
I don't know, but I feel like I would have made the same decision. I would have just been afraid to let it go,
Yeah. Sometimes I'll be walking around and I'll realize that my forearms are parallel to the ground because I was doing something and then I just forgot to put them down and I'm T-Rexing about. So maybe that's what happened.
Oh my God. Okay, so also just credit where credit is due to Willow. She doesn't just unlock Giles. She uses the axe to hack through until the lock busts open, which I feel like is cool.
Yes, cool. Very cool.
It's not over yet because Sid needs to get the heart. Buffy says she'll do it, but he's like, I'm going to do it. Also, we didn't talk about how funny it is when Sid is bopping around with this knife. When he was trying to stab Buffy earlier before and just like the tiny demon with a knife. It's good. Not a demon. I'm sorry, Sid. I mischaracterized you. I did exactly what I wasn't supposed to do, but it's a good time. So he gets the heart and his little ventriloquist dummy body collapses. He's gone. Buffy picks him up and says it's over, and then the curtain opens, and the entire audience is here waiting for the talent show.
Snyder, I don't get it. What is it? Avant-garde?
Just truly bangers from top to bottom from Snyder. And before we give you the ending of this episode, which I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this is like the only post-credit scene that happens in the series. Yeah. That's right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we get there, let's give you, since we end with this classic Snyder quote, let's just give you a little snip from our interview with Armin Shimmerman back in 2016. Link in the show notes today, of course, to get the whole interview if you want to listen to it. He was a delight then, and I know he's a delight now. A wonderful, wonderful man. So let's hear a little bit of that.
I will tell you how Snyder got created in my head. The first thing I had to do on the set, and of course they shoot scenes out of sequence, so I'm not sure if this is the first scene or not where I appeared. It's possible that it is. I was walking down a slightly raked auditorium aisle.
Yes, that is the first scene we see too.
And I had asked prior to my getting to work, so who will I be working with? And they said Sarah Michelle Gellar. And I said, yes, I've seen the show. I know who she is, but who is she? What's her background? And they said very nicely to me, oh, she's a 19-year-old soap opera actress. And I, being somewhat of a snob, said to myself, oh, great, I have to work with a soap opera actress. And a 19-year-old to boot. So I had rather a bad taste in my mouth. Understand, I was rather high and mighty. I was a series regular on another show, so I was rather high and mighty. And as I walked down the aisle for the first time, as we rehearsed it, and neared these very young actors, I had this sort of attitude of superiority. And in the years that have passed since that moment, I've come to realize that first impression, bad one as it was what was the inspiring force for the character, and my aloofness came out of that. The brilliant lines that I had to say that you've quoted, of course, came out of the writers, and I'm enormously grateful to them. There was another moment during that episode that may have extended my life on the show. I've always thought perhaps it did. So I suppose that moment, too, is one of my favorites from Puppet Show, which is later on in the episode, we're sort of backstage of the high school theater, and I'm making an entrance, and I hear all this sound from what we all call Video Village. Video Village is where the director and the DP and the script coordinator and everybody else who wants to watches the monitors and sees what the actors are doing through the camera's eye. And as I was making my entrance, I heard all this noise. We were filming. The film was rolling. And I heard all this noise from Video Village, and I thought, wow, that's awfully noisy over there. What are they talking about? And then we did 2 or 3 more takes, and there was still quite a bit of chit-chat, quiet, whispered, but audible to me anyway. And that was a surprise to me. So I finally went over to Video Village. You have to understand at that point I'm a guest, a very new guest, so I don't think I have much power at all. And I sort of say to them, what's all the noise about? And they say, oh, you have to see. And for some bizarre reason, when I turned the corner, the way the DP had lit the scene, that there was a shadow on the wall that nobody had planned for, but because the shadow made me look like Nosferatu. And my ears, which are round and large, became very tall and large. And to this day, I believe that's one of the reasons they kept me on for as long as they did. Anyway, so those are my two favorite moments from Puppet Show.
Wow.
I must end this anecdote with a very important point so that everybody understands. It doesn't have to do with this episode per se. But after about 4 or 5 episodes of doing Buffy, I came to realize that Sarah Michelle Gellar was perhaps one of the finest actresses I had ever worked with. And I knew she only knew of me as Snyder. We didn't talk much because Sarah was a very busy lady. All during the time that I worked with her, she was a very busy lady, which I understood. And after about the 4th or 5th episode, I walked over to Sarah's trailer and knocked on the door. She was enormously surprised to see me, really only knowing me as Snyder and not as Armin. And I said, Sarah, and I told her the story that I told you about walking down the aisle. And I said, I was wrong. I thought you were a 19-year-old soap opera actress, and this was going to not be much fun. And I've come to realize what an enormously talented woman you are, and I'm looking forward to all our future scenes together. And after that moment, I venture to say Sarah and I became very, very good friends.
Thank you, Armin Shimmerman. Again, the link for the full interview is in today's show notes. Let's also give you the ending credit clip. Since it's the only time it happens, it feels important to mark it here, and it's a very funny exchange. Of course, Willow, Xander, and Buffy doing their dramatic reading.
Oh, Oedipus, Oedipus, unhappy Oedipus, that is all I can call you and all that I ever shall call you.
Darkness and horror of darkness, unfolding, restless, visitant, sped by an ill wind in haste. Madness and stabbing pain and memory of ill deeds I have done.
Just good, you know? It's funny. 'Tis funny. God, oh my God. Jenny, there's one thing left to do, and what an interesting time. And what an interesting plot to consider. What was Dawn doing?
Was she at the mall? Was she at ballet? Was she drawn on a trapper keeper all day? Was she nursing a crush on a boy from PE? Was she writing it all down in her diary? What was Dawn doing? What was Dawn doing? What was Dawn doing? What was Dawn doing?
Yeah, was the junior high. Wait, how old is Dawn right now? 11?
She's like 10, 11, on the cusp of 11 or just newly 11. Yeah, 10, 11.
All right, so depending on how the school system is broken, what does the elementary school or middle school talent show, like, does that run on the same schedule as the high school talent show? Is Dawn also preparing something?
Okay. So, imaginary manticore, is Dawn frightened of dummies, or is she the one who kept showing Buffy pictures of dummies in the first place once she realized they could scare her sister? This sounds really, really... There's this... I can't think of the type of music it is, but there's like this thing that happens on Instagram Reels, probably TikTok or whatever. It's like some kind of like image that's set to some kind of music, and it makes me have like an immediate like panic attack. And my sister is constantly opening the videos when she's in my presence because she thinks it's so funny. So... checks out. Oh, sorry, but imaginary manticore continues. And then did karma then catch up with Dawn when she gets kidnapped by Sweet's giant puppet-faced minions and has to dance with them? Oh, God. Nicole H. said that Dawn definitely was in the kitchen when Buffy was getting ready for school and honing in on the talent show plan. She begged to do her own interpretive dance to Wind Beneath My Wings while Cordelia sang. And Jenny, unless you have any Dawn thoughts yourself, I will get right into Kristin with an I, not me's.
I'm ready for it.
Okay. Buffy, Dawn, and Joyce are eating breakfast while Buffy gleefully talks about how Mr. Giles was put in charge of the school talent show. Dawn wonders if they even had talent shows when Mr. Giles went to school, since he's so old. When Buffy comes home the next day, her attitude has changed dramatically after a day's worth of dummy investigation and involuntary talent show entry. Dawn, however, is excited about the talent show, especially when she learns that Willow and Xander are a part of it. She practices lines with Buffy in Buffy's room, which is why Buffy had a better performance than Xander and Willow at the end of the episode. And Dawn takes the opportunity to scan for Buffy's potential diary hiding spots. She also takes the opportunity to ask questions about Buffy's friends, like what kind of music does Xander like? And what's Xander's favorite color? And do you think Xander believes in soulmates? That night, Dawn is startled awake by the sound of Buffy screaming. Joyce dashes into Buffy's room and Dawn peers around Buffy's doorframe, keeping outside of the threshold, afraid for what she might see. Buffy frantically tells her mom that there's something in her bed, more afraid than Dawn is used to seeing her. Buffy tells her mom that it must have been a nightmare, but Dawn remains in the doorframe, skeptical. Buffy reiterates to Dawn that it was a nightmare and tells her to go back to bed, which Dawn does begrudgingly. The next day, Joyce and Dawn attend the talent show, which opens with a weird scene that Buffy didn't even tell her about. Typical. Buffy never tells her anything. Dawn, who loves magic, leaves disappointed that she didn't get to see the magician who was supposed to be in the show, but it is all redeemed by Xander's soulful, passionate, and captivating acting. That night, distracted from searching for the diary, Dawn writes about how Xander is just so much deeper than the boys in her grade.
Uh-huh.
Beautiful. Kristin with an I, not me.
Wow.
Thank
Dawn
you.
loving magic, I feel like might be the most like Dawn core. That just feels like so true. You know?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Oh God. What if like inadvertently the pairing of Kristin with an I's narratives and our telling of them is what leads to the Buffy reboot being just Dawn? Like it's just the telling of Dawn's story.
Yes, Sister Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
Slayer's sister.
It's like how the Babysitters Club had the little sister version.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What else is there to do, Jennifer Owen Youngs?
I guess we gotta friggin' sign off.
Sign off and then sign back on to talk about the song. I don't even know what this song is. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I actually am excited to listen to it because I cannot recall myself. Well, friends, I'm Jenny Owen Youngs. Okay. And when I'm not watching Buffy, I'm usually making music. You can find all of my songs and albums on Bandcamp or your favorite digital music platform. You can find them in their physical forms via my website or at your favorite independent record store. And you can give me a shout on socials at Jenny Owen Youngs. And here's one other thing I want to tell you. Today is March 5th, allegedly. Tonight I am playing in Felton, California.
Wow.
With my dear friend, Jenny O. We're co-headlining. And then tomorrow night on March 6th, we'll be playing in Los Angeles.
Wow.
We'll be wrapping up our little co-headline run of the West Coast. And then in May, friends, I'll be playing a few shows, co-headlining with Robert Ellis. May 8th, Vienna, Virginia. May 9th, Philadelphia. May 10th, New York City. And then I'll be headlining May 30th in Saratoga Springs, New York. And May 31st in Shirley, Massachusetts. Come see me. Come say hi. Get your tickets. JennyOwenYoungs.com. Yay.
I'm really going to try to come to Saratoga Springs. I'm really going to try to come see Jenny Owen Youngs in Saratoga Springs. We'll see how it goes. My name is Kristin Russo. And when I'm not podcasting with Jenny, I am having a baby. But also, I have been known to do work with LGBTQ plus communities. We're getting closer to Pride Month, and I do speaking events at workplaces, most often virtually. So if you're looking for something like that to either talk to your workplace about being cool to LGBTQ folks in the workplace, or my favorite kind of talk to do, which is where I talk to parents who work at the workplace about being awesome parents to their queer trans kids, which, is always important, but perhaps increasingly so right now. You can find all of that information on my website, KristinNoeline.com, KristinNoeline. Use that spelling to find me on socials, where who knows what I'll be posting about on March 5th. Anyone's guess.
Wow. Buffering the Vampire Slayer is on socials at BufferingCast. You can email us at hello@bufferingcast.com, and you can come hang out with us at our upcoming events, our book launch and Buffy Prom 2-night extravaganza in Torrance, California on April 4th and 5th. And then a very special live taping and book event in Boston at WBUR City Space on April 29th. You can find tickets and information at bufferingcast.com/slayers.
Hey, and if you haven't pre-ordered our book yet, which is why the slug of that website is Slayers, pre-order our book. It comes out April 8th. It, of course, helps us, as I'm sure you know, to have the pre-orders come in before the release. All of that information on our website, bufferingcast.com. Please support us on Patreon. We are an independent podcast, and Patreon is our biggest means of supporting this show and all the people who put a lot of work into making it happen. Patreon.com/bufferingcast, and all of this, everything you ever needed to find, bufferingcast.com.
This episode was produced by Kristin Russo, Jenny Owen Youngs, and LaToya Ferguson, with support from our consultant, Mackenzie McDade. It was edited by John Mark Nelson, and till next time.
This week is the talent show, and if there's one thing that I know, it's that I don't want to do it. Somehow I got roped into it. Everybody else is good at stuff. Cordelia sings, at least sort of, but my talent's best kept hidden. Not like, for example, Morgan's ventriloquism. Why did it have to be a live ventriloquist dummy? I wish that it was anything but that. 'Cause me and dummies have an uncomfortable past. And I don't need to bore ya with the details of my phobia. I just wish that it was anything but that. Ooh. Somebody's been harvesting, first a heart, then a brain. Guess a demon needs some organs to keep living like a human. Sid's not evil, so it seems, but Principal Snyder might be. Yeah, the jury's out on that one. Anyway, Mark the magician went into his magic box and changed into a full-skin demon and attacked us, but we beat him and then stabbed him in the heart. Yeah. Why did it have to be a live ventriloquist dummy? I wish that it was anything but that. 'Cause me and dummies have an uncomfortable past. And I don't need to bore ya with the details of my phobia. I just wish that it was anything but that. Ooh. Ooh.
Well,
we've
my
really...
personal take.
Yes, your personal. Yes, what is your personal take, Jenny?
My personal take is that the song is as good as the episode.
Oh, I think it's a fun song. I think that now we have released you from the chains of having to include the episode title in the song. Angel sort of freed us from that, right? And so now you don't have to say the puppet show in here, which is nice.
Yeah. The name of the episode is The Puppet Show, but it's a talent show, and there's also a puppet. Wow, how did that get past us?
I had a question about as a listener, I love to hear like finger picking, like the way that you are playing the guitar in the verses here is very satisfying to listen to. And I wonder, as a guitar player, if that's something that like you enjoy or you try to do sparingly, or like what's your relationship to that in music?
I love finger picking. I do it all the time. Yeah. That's for you.
Thank you. It's a special skill set. It seems like a lot more difficult to do that than to
for everybody.
strum.
And there are proper ways. There are like a couple different techniques, I think, and I can't do any of them. I just do my own weird little like first, like I use my first finger and my thumb, and it's almost all that.
So you don't really use the other three?
Occasionally, another finger will get
into the mix.
But mostly it's like that, or like sometimes I'll do if I'm playing like if I'm plucking less like a sort of syncopated thing like in this song, and more like a, let's say, speaking in tuba terms, papa, right? Where you're playing like a bass note and then like some of the higher strings that spell out more of the quality of the chord. Sometimes I'll like play the bass note with my thumb, and then I'll use my 3 fingers to pluck 3 strings simultaneously to like get that sort of like cha kind of thing.
That reminds me. Well, actually, that reminds me of 2 things. One neither related to music, but both related to my dad. Which is you played the tuba. My dad played the French horn, and I'm wondering if you feel that the instruments have a similar, like not being appreciatedness, underappreciation.
Yeah, I think tubas and French horns are both like flying a little under the radar. But they've got their own things going on.
And then my other thing is a statement, because you're like, there's like proper ways of doing this thing. You are a musician, and specifically a guitar player. I mean, like, that is your instrument. That is the thing you've been playing for years. And you're saying like, there are these ways that are appropriate to do this thing, but I actually have my own way that like works for me. And it's just these 2 fingers for the most part. Just really reminded me of my dad, who is a computer programmer. And obviously there's like prescribed ways of typing on keyboards, right, to be most efficient. My dad, a computer programmer on computers his whole entire life, 2 pointer fingers. That's how he typed. Worked for him.
Peck, 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 peck.
Yeah, peck.
Whatever gets the job done. That's what I say.
Yeah. I think this is a lovely song. I mean,
thanks.
They can't all be literally the best song ever, Some have to just be good. And this is a good song. And what you might be not appreciate, you might be like looking at considering things that are bigger than like my non-musician brain can. But I think that like, in addition to the fun of the guitar part, which I really love, your vocal delivery is really fun in this. The way you say phobia at the end, and the ventriloquism being worked in. There's fun stuff happening here. It's, and we can thank our lucky stars that we did not make the decision to do a POV song from Sid's point of view, because we could have done that and we didn't. So bravo.
Yeah. Yikes. Happy that's not in existence.
I'm pretty sure that next episode's song is the song that has a rain stick in it?
It's not literally a rain stick, but it is an improvised rain stick per your request. So something to look forward to,
it was my request. Wait, that's why I remember it, because I like think of nightmares and I'm like, rain stick.
Yeah. That was your contribution to the arrangement.
Oh, all right. Well, everybody go enjoy your finger picking or whatever else you might want to do with the rest of your day. Thanks for listening.
Indeed.
Bye.
Listening to a podcast should be time well spent, and I promise it will be if you'll give this podcast a try. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in every episode, I talk with leading experts on topics I know you will find fascinating. From why people can't keep secrets, what your favorite music says about you, why your pet acts in strange ways, and so much more. Something You Should Know is designed to give you information you can use in your life and give you great intel that you can share with others. I'm told it's a binge-worthy podcast. And with over 1,000 episodes, there's a lot to binge on. Something You Should Know has been ranked in the top of the Apple podcast charts consistently for a long time. I know you're going to like this. I just need to get you to try it. Something You Should Know. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone. So we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural then and now.